Oh, and there's Robin and Mary. Oh, it's Mary, not Robin. You're muted.
Did it say that Robin was here?
No, I have to come on as Robin to record it.
Yeah.
From now on, I'm just going to sign in as Robin all the time. So I'm the new Robin.
Okay. Let me see if I can get. Oh, Bev's back. Okay.
Okay, I got it. It kept saying there's another meeting in progress.
Yeah, I know. I screwed it up. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Hey, Deb. How you doing? Everybody, this is my friend. Oh, the other Deb. Hi, both Debs. We got two Debs. Uh-oh. Well, we'll call Deborah and Deb, okay?
Deborah.
Or is it Deborah?
Deborah.
Okay, I had a friend in high school. Her name was spelled like that, and she pronounced it Deborah. Okay, so.
I'm Deborah, but spelled with D-E-B-R-A.
Okay. Well, we can call you R-A and her O-R. I don't know. Anyhow,
I'm
so
just
this.
Deb and Deb.
Okay. This is my friend Deb. She's the one that drags my butt out of bed in the morning to go walk with her. It's her fault.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome to the group, Deb. This is Deb 2. Raise your hand, Deb. Or Deb 1. She's the original Deb. Then Angie, she's going to be teaching the class, and Bev. Bev is my person that I go to Ohio with. She's my road trip chick.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So Angie, do you want to read the? Oh, first before we start.
Oh, Myra.
Who?
Myra. You guys. So I was telling Mary and Bev, but so my laptop won't turn on all of a sudden. The last 20 minutes, it just doesn't want to turn on. So I'm on my cell phone tonight. So I'm gonna have to swipe back and forth to see all of y'all. So if I'm missing somebody or someone's trying to get my attention or raise their hand or whatever, someone help me out, because I can only see 3 people at a time on my phone, and it's so tiny and weird. And of course this would happen tonight, but life, right?
That's how it goes. Okay, so I want to invite Myra. Is that someone you know, Angie?
Yes.
Hi, Myra. Glad you joined us.
She's been here before.
Oh, has she? I don't always look at the list. And Kelly. Yeah. Hello, Kelly. And I think that's my sister. That's your what?
I think that's my sister.
Oh, hi, Sister Kelly. Okay, an iPhone. I don't know who iPhone is. A mysterious person.
Tasha, probably.
Okay, cool.
Oh, Tasha. That's my other sister.
Cool. Wow. We have the Kindred. Is that what your maiden name was? Kindred?
Yes.
We have the Kindred kid on tonight. Okay.
We do.
Kindred girls.
So we welcome you. All right. Before Angie reads her spiel and stuff like that, we always like to start in with non-scale victories. So does anybody have or a scale victory? That's fine too. Does anybody have a victory they want to share? Nobody? Okay, we can skip that. That's fine. All right, so Angie, do you have the thing that you can read?
I'm just gonna put Deb in the spotlight here. She shared a post on Facebook, was it like a selfie, I guess, a picture of herself. And all the comments, all your friends and followers are so amazing, giving you like so much praise and compliments. That's huge non-scale victory. It made me feel good for you. You know what I mean? Be proud.
I forgot that I kind of did that. Okay, so yesterday morning, I got my second shingle shot. And by last night, I was achy and feverish and just hurting. And I went to bed, and same with today, but I've been taking ibuprofen. I'm feeling better now. I've got a family reception to go to at 7. But yeah, I'll be seeing some of those people tonight because they'll be at the reception. Some of those are my cousins. Cool. So I'll be talking to them tonight. But yeah, I thought I've been so not vulnerable by not posting anything. And I finally have a new phone. And so now I have Facebook on my phone. So I have been overwhelmed by all the things that keep popping up.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. But I actually got on the scale this morning, and from the time I talked to Gail back in January to now, I'm down 40 pounds.
Way to
What?
go.
Yeah.
Since that's awesome.
So
We're proud of you.
And you had some blood work done that was really good too.
yeah, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I went to the doctor, and they wanted me to come back in because my doctor wasn't believing me on how much weight I'd lost, but his nurse, she goes, oh my gosh, she was looking at the scale from the last time I was in to this time, and checking the blood work and everything. And so the doctor said, why don't you come back in a month or two, and we're going to check you again. And so they did, and my A1C is almost normal. But my family history is one where all of my aunts and my mother had type 2 diabetes. We all have the PCOS. We got it from mom. And so we've decided that I'll stay on metformin at, one a day to maintain my A1C, to keep it low and everything. But my triglycerides and stuff like that, my high cholesterol, low cholesterol, is better than it has been in like 25 years.
Wow. Excellent.
And it's because I'm doing this. I'm taking, these, the 5 things that I take a day that's keeping my blood sugar and everything. I truly, I'm a testimony to this system.
Yep.
Because I've lost weight before and I haven't had these results.
Very good. I agree with you. Very good. Well, that's a great victory.
Yeah.
Sorry, what'd you say, Angie?
So thank you for sharing all that, Deb.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. I have ADD, and it's like things are like, boop, gone.
Sure.
Okay, so does anybody else want to say anything? You can always wait till the end if you want to. All right, well then, Angie, how about if you say the spiel and then do your thing?
Okay, well, I can't read the disclaimer because it's on my phone and I'm watching you guys on
Oh.
my phone.
Okay, well then,
You-
oops. Oh, wait a minute. This wants to kick me out. Hang on. I will read it.
Okay.
I had to bring it up first, so I'm so you
No,
have
my
me
heart.
spoiled. You absolutely have me spoiled.
Sorry. I should have it memorized.
Yeah, why don't you? All right. Disclaimer. The following webinars and posts will include the personal testimonies of some coaches of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by those accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting any weight loss program. And you know what? I'm going to say something about that. It says that, it's unique. I don't have anyone that's staying on this program that doesn't have good results. Has anybody else seen anybody?
Mm-mm.
Now, I have some people that kind of dabble in it. They do it one day and then they like go to McDonald's the next day. But I mean, anybody who sticks with it gets the results. They're pretty predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll shut up now. Go ahead.
I agree. Okay, so this week we are discussing just for anybody who's new here, Dr. Anderson, who is the one that wrote this Healthy Habits program that we're all talking about tonight, also wrote a few books, which are awesome, and I recommend them for everybody, whether it's a weight loss journey that you're on, whether you're trying to get off medications, whether you're just trying to get a healthier mindset for anything in life. I highly recommend these books, especially the workbook, the life book. This is it. It's been amazing to go through this journey. I've lost weight many other ways, but I think what's helping me this time is we're working on our minds while we're working on our body. And I've never had those two going together. So Yeah, so this week we're talking about Element16, which just happens to be dealing with addictive food. And I knew I wanted to be the one to share this because, gosh, and I hope I don't get emotional. I probably will. So just, I'm warning you now. I have a pretty severe history with addiction in general. So, you know, this element and the work that is done in this element is just, I don't know, it just is really, it hits me hard. This is the first element that I read when I got this book. And these books they're like almost 600 pages each. So they're not something you can thumb through in one night, right? And have the gist of. But of course, this stuck out to me. And this was the first element that I read. And I was like, I love this program. I'm sold. Like, this is it. This is it. This is the solution. So, also, I just want to mention, I'm not an expert. I'm just going to be sharing my opinions and my experiences, and then also some things from the book, some quotes, and just different parts of the book that I think are good to point out. In this element, they explore and talk about the dangers of addictive foods, but also how to identify how susceptible you personally are to becoming addictive to certain kinds of foods. It doesn't affect everybody, but it can affect everybody, and it does severely affect a lot. So, okay, so I guess I'll just start off and like share a little bit of my story with you guys, just so you know what I'm talking about as we go through. But okay, so 13 years, 10 days, and 10 months and 19 days ago. So 13 years, 10 months, and 19 days ago. Yeah, that's it. I decided to change my life and just walk away from a life addicted to illegal drugs and alcohol. And the reason that I'm sharing this is because I feel like when you talk about anything that you're addicted to, whether it's shopping, maybe it's social media, maybe it's food, maybe it's sugar, maybe it's bread, maybe it's Starbucks, maybe your issue is with drugs and alcohol, maybe it's shopping or gambling, maybe it's toxic relationships, maybe it's, I don't know, buying things on Amazon, ordering Amazon. You know, there are similarities between anything that you can become addicted to, in my opinion, anyways. And so for me, with my addiction, it started in my early 20s and went on for about 9 years. And it wasn't until the very end when things just got really, really, really bad. Like, I'm talking, I had lost my relationships with my family members. I had lost my career. It was gone. Money gone. Car gone. Place to live gone. My apartment gone. My freedom was gone off and on, depending on, you know, where I was that week. But I finally had to choose. I knew I wanted a better life. I wanted it. I needed a better life. I needed to stay away from those things so that I could have a better life. But it wasn't until I decided that I wanted it and I was going to make that happen until, you know, it could happen. And so I want to share 3 things that I just was brainstorming about, like what 3 things really, really helped me, because I think you could apply these to anything that you're having an issue with, you know, not just drugs and alcohol. The first thing that was really important and super, super hard was I had to ask for help. And I don't know if I'm the only one that's hard for, but asking for help is hard, is it not? Just for anything. We want to feel, especially like I think as women or as mothers or as, you know, boss ladies or wives, whatever, we want to feel like we are superheroes and we can handle anything and everything and we can do it all by ourselves, right? It's just hard to ask for help. So that was one thing I had to humble myself and do. I had to ask for help. And it was on Father's Day, almost 14 years ago, I called my dad and said, I'm ready, like I need help. And he helped me. And another thing that I wrote down was that I listened to others. And I think this is important with, you know, anything that you're going through too. I listened to others who had gone the way before me. They had longer sobriety time than I did. And I listened to their advice. and I followed their example. And I shared my experiences with them and listened to their experiences. And I mimicked what they were doing because I wanted the results they had. I wanted to have this beautiful, normal life that wasn't, you know, in and out of jail and in and out of being homeless and, you know, just completely dependent on not good things. I wanted the life they had. And so I mimicked what they were doing. And I think that we can say that, you know, for anything. The third thing that I wrote down that was something big that I did was I treated my recovery from drugs and alcohol, from being an addict. I treated the recovery part as if my life, my actual life depended on it, because I knew that it did. The others that I listened to told me that it did. And I wasn't, you know, ignorant to the fact that I knew I was going to end up in an institution or dead. So I treated my recovery as if my life depended on it. And I think that it's okay to do that with anything we need to do that with, you know, whether it's creating boundaries, whether it's, you know, staying away from sugar or certain foods, or whether it's, you know, not spending so much time on social media. You have to fight for it every moment, sometimes every moment, right? Every day almost seems like not enough in the beginning. It has to be every moment, every second, you're constantly thinking about the plan that you have to get the life that you want. Okay, so those are the three things that I just wrote down quickly that kind of helped me. And I don't want you guys to think that, you know, I just woke up one day and I was like, I'm not going to drink or use drugs anymore. I'm just going to turn into this, you know, completely different person, because it wasn't like that. I tried to get clean and sober hundreds of times, dozens of times, probably hundreds of times every year. Like, I really, really wanted to get better. But what would happen is life would happen and I would feel stress. I would feel sadness, or I would get bored, or, you know, anything that happens in life would happen. And my go-to was to go run to those things that I was familiar with that gave me that temporary pleasure and that temporary high that made me forget about what was going wrong, right? But I finally feel like I got better because I had a plan. I had a plan and I had support. And so now I kind of just want to switch gears a little bit and focus on addictive food, since that's what we're here really to talk about. Well, first, does anybody, I can't see everybody. This is so weird. Does anybody have like any questions or comments or anything you want to say this far in?
I do. A comment.
Okay.
It's really hard to be vulnerable. And I just want to say, I absolutely admire that you're willing to put everything out there to help us. I don't mean to make you, you know, too emotional or something like that, because we want you to finish.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for doing that, because I know that has to be hard. We're proud of you.
Thank you. I have the chills now. It is super hard. It's so weird because I knew when we started this group, I knew this was one of the lessons that I felt like I needed to, you know, lead the group through. So I've known about it for months, because in my head, I was like, oh yeah, that's mine, you know, but it's been really hard for me to actually like sit down and make an outline and write notes, because this is hard. This is really hard for me, you guys. You know, especially like early in my recovery, we were taught to stay anonymous with our stories. And the 12-step program that I went through told us to stay anonymous, right? Well, that didn't work for me. I need to live out loud, which is why I also love this program, because they teach you to live out loud. How can I help others if I'm staying anonymous over here and not sharing my story? And so I kept thinking about, you know, how like what Robin is always telling us, just live out loud on social media, just live out loud, and others will be attracted to you. People that need to be a part of your story will come and be a part of your story. So I don't know. I feel like it's because of y'all that I've gotten to this point, but I'm excited about living out loud a little bit more, but it is hard. So, okay. So let's switch gears to talking about dealing with addictive food. This is an addiction that I believe that I'm still contending with, and that I'll probably be contending with for the rest of my life. And I'm okay with it. because I have tools. I'm okay with it because I have support and I have a plan, right? This was something that was really upsetting to me the last few years because I knew it was out of control. But now that I have this program and I've, gone through these elements, like I really feel like I have tools in my toolbox now. So I'm excited. But okay, so he says in this element, we are going to equip you with a better understanding of why toxic non-food substances should be treated much like you would cocaine or heroin. He says, today our society is completely saturated with cues to signal tasty, sugary, salty, and easily obtained unhealthy, ultra-processed foods. Like all around us, the food industry, I mean, they're dangerous, y'all. Don't you think? Like, wow. I mean, they're dangling foods at every street corner, right? We see billboards and pictures and we smell the smells as we're driving. Or commercials. Have you guys seen a commercial from the food industry that was unappetizing? Because I haven't. I don't even like cheesecake, but if I see a Cheesecake Factory commercial with the, when they're drizzling, I'm like, I need 3 of those, like it's unbelievable what the food industry has done to us to, put these highly processed and highly addictive foods, up on a pedestal, making them look like we need them. Like we got to get them. We got to get a lot of them and we got to get them and we got to eat them and we got to eat them fast, but don't eat them in public, right? Because we got to do it secretly so nobody knows we're eating. I mean, it can go on. It can get really bad just with food, just the same as anything else. So what happens? So what happens when we're faced with these commercials or the street corner, or we walk into Target and we smell popcorn, or, what happens? What do we do? Same thing that I did, right? Same thing that I did. We feel like that excitement. We go back to, if we're feeling stressed and we walk through Target, of course, we're going to grab some popcorn. If we're bored or we're happy or we're celebrating or we're sad, any kind of emotion that feels out of our normal realm, which happens all the time because life is emotional and it's up and down, that's when we give in. The same kind of cues that they're triggering us with are the same kind of cues that, I dealt with addicted to drugs and alcohol. It's the same concept, different substances, same concept, right? So let me go to the next page here.
Can I say something? Yeah. I think it's even worse because you don't drive down the road and see someone shooting up, or you don't see advertisements in your face 24/7 about drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Food, that's you true. Do.
Well, and I think food, because it's not illegal, right? We're not going to get arrested if we go score popcorn at the street corner, right? We're not going to get arrested for going to the Turkey Hill or the 7-Eleven and getting a candy bar. We're not going to jail for that. It's not illegal. So I think you're right, Mary. It's harder. This is harder because even though the result can be the same, I mean, this can kill you. Like what is Dr. A calls it, the white powder? That's the sugar and the rice and the bread and all that. He calls it the white powder. That eventually can kill you too, right? And it maybe in a different way and not as fast, but maybe for some, you just don't know.
You mentioned that, when you're driving down the street, you smell the smell because restaurants will pump their odor out into the air. And where are a lot of our taste buds? But they're in the nose. Mm-hmm. And I know that when I overeat, it's because something tastes so good. I just want to keep eating it. I could be full, but it tastes so good. Just a little more, because of the flavor. There's an addiction to flavor for me.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to, this is his other book, The Habits of Health. I'm just going to switch over. I just want to go over this one section here. It's on page 241 if anyone else has a book and wants to follow along. But anyways, he's talking about, let's see. He's talking about how the cocoa leaf is used by many, and it's considered sacred and indigenous to the culture, and it does not cause any harm. But it also can be refined and turned from something natural into a dangerously addictive substance, right? And that's where cocaine comes from. He says, this is what Dr. Anderson says, and this like was like, wow, mind-blowing to me the first time I read this. I was like, oh my gosh. He says that is exactly what happened with sugarcane and flour. They have been turned from a healthy food with great nutritional value into readily available calories that have little or no nutritional value and create metabolic and inflammatory habits. They are also highly addictive. Wow. Sugar, he's talking about sugar. He's talking about sugarcane and flour, white flour. Now, he also goes on to talk about a study that was done where they did MRI imaging of the brain while someone, let's see, someone who consumed sugar or foods made with refined flour. And they did the same thing. Well, okay, so what happened in this MRI for this person? What happened was the subject pleasure and reward center lights up like a firework display, right? Because the dopamine, the sugar rush gives you that dopamine hit. And that's what happens to your brain, right? It lights up all in there like that. Well, the same thing happens when someone's on illegal drugs. So this picture right here, exactly the same as this one. This is the brain on cocaine. This is the brain on refined sugar and flour. Interesting. Does anybody else find that fascinating? Like, I mean, I knew that, I've always known that sugar was very addictive as, you know, any other substance I've ever dealt with. But I didn't know it was, you know, triggering the same, is it a chemical or a hormone? I don't know. You probably know, Mary.
Neurotransmitter.
The dopamine. Okay, it's the same neurotransmitter that's released that lights up that pleasure area in your brain. This illegal drugs and sugar. So no wonder I got off illegal drugs and wanted sugar, right? Like I was just replacing one addiction with another, which is not good. Anybody have anything? I feel like I can't see everybody, so I don't know if anyone has questions or comments because I'm on my phone. Just stop me if anyone wants to stop me.
I'm just going to tell you guys. So with getting achy, feverish and everything last night, I succumbed to chocolate to feel better.
It's okay.
I know, but it's just like, oh, I needed something to feel good because I was so miserable. But that's scary because listening to what you're saying, what I did last night was one of the worst things I could have done.
I mean, did it make you feel better?
My tongue was happy.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. There are people like what you did last night, Deb, that can have a piece of chocolate, be satisfied and put it away and be done with it. But there are people, you know, that would be like, oh, that candy bar is toast, you know, and eat the whole thing. Even if I was full, even if my pleasure, you know, in my brain was already satisfied, I would just, because I don't want that pleasure to stop, I'll just keep going, you know? So I think it depends. And we're going to talk about that next too. It depends how susceptible you are to being addicted to these foods is how you can control when and how much you should have. So, okay, we're going to do a quiz real quick. I'm going to say 10 statements and you keep track, either write down if you have a pen or a paper or just keep track in your head, try to as best you can. The answers are going to be rarely, occasionally, or daily for each of these statements. So, and this is going to help us see which category you fall into in terms of addiction to sugar and flour. Okay, the first one, I find it difficult to control how much I eat. Rarely, occasionally, or daily.
Should this be before we went on this program or now?
Yeah. Think about when you were at your weakest, one of your weakest moments before, for sure, before the Optavia program. Yeah, because hopefully most of this should be rarely now. If you've been on program a while, I think it would for sure be. But yeah, so just think about a time when you're at your weakest. Okay, I find it difficult to control how much I eat. Okay, the second one, I crash in the afternoon and have trouble waking up in the morning. Rarely, occasionally, or daily. Okay, 3, I have cravings for specific foods. Rarely, occasionally, or daily. I suffer from moodiness, headaches, or fogginess. Rarely, occasionally, or daily. When I only eat a moderate amount of food, I am not satisfied. Rarely, occasionally, or daily. I feel guilty after eating. Rarely, occasionally, or daily. I spend a considerable amount of time thinking about food. Rarely, occasionally, or daily.
Angie, I can't hear you.
You're
Can you hear
muted,
me now?
Ange.
Okay.
Okay, were you guys on number?
Number 8.
Okay, number 8, I eat even if I am not hungry because I crave a specific food. Rarely, occasionally, or daily. Okay, number 9, I eat large amounts of food and feel powerless to stop. Rarely, occasionally, or daily. And last one, number 10, I crave carbohydrates like pasta, bread, white rice, or sweet desserts. Rarely, occasionally, or daily. Okay, now I wish we had like a poll where we could just put up our answers and not everyone would have to see. So don't feel like you have to share your answers, but I'm just going to tell you. If you have 6 or more dailies, your susceptibility to sugar and refined flour addiction is very high. If you have 6 or more occasionallys, it's moderate susceptibility. And if you have, let's see, less than 6 rarelies, or no, 6 or more rarelies, more than 6 rarelies, you have low susceptibility. Now, y'all don't have to share. If you want, if someone wants to share, you can for sure share. I'll go ahead and let you know that when I first took this quiz, which was before I started program at all, I had only one that wasn't daily.
I have all daily.
So that tells me, yeah, that the only one I didn't have daily was I crash in the afternoon. Well, I have kids, of course I can't crash in the afternoon. And I didn't have trouble waking up because I had to wake up. So otherwise I would have had all dailies. Yeah. Does anyone else can share if they want. You don't have to. I know it's kind of personal. But okay, so Mary and I, for sure, are highly susceptible. So what he says is the more daily boxes you have ticked, the higher your risk is. So Mary and I are very high risk. If your score was high, then you want to avoid eating any sugar or refined flour processed foods, right? Especially once you get to a healthy goal weight. I mean, I would almost treat it like a drug for people who are high susceptibility. He says, we have found that part of the higher susceptibility is genetically predetermined, which I kind of like that I read this because I think that addiction to anything is probably also genetic. Your genetics can play a factor in that also. So just like alcohol, if you are high at risk, it is critical that you avoid sugary and starchy processed foods because we can't stop, right? It's like one is never enough and neither is a million. So what are you going to do? A combination of genetics and environment puts us at risk. He says, you can eat an amazing array of healthy whole foods along with packaged fuelings to help keep your hunger cravings away. Okay, so then for anybody who had like a low or moderate susceptibility score, he says, still be cautious with any processed foods that contain sugar and or refined flours. He wants us to make sure that we're avoiding stimulating that, what does she call it, neurotransmitter, that dopamine hit from foods, right? We don't want to associate food with pleasure, especially processed food, processed, or, you know, whatever he's saying in here, the processed food with pleasure. Starchy processed food, sugary and starchy processed foods. That's what he said. We don't want to associate that with that feeling, that good reward, feeling of pleasure, right? So we need to eat these foods that don't give us that, so that we're not, when we're stressed, when we're sad, or when we're angry, or when we're bored, we're not going to go look for the starchy, sugary foods. We're not going to eat if we're not hungry, right? He goes on to say you can rewire your brain and it will become automated, which I'm looking forward to that. I trust this man. He's telling me that it's going to be automatic. We're going to rewire. It's going to be automatic one day. It might take years. And let me just tell you guys, there were years that I could not be around alcohol. And I had to avoid a lot of social activities and events and situations, you know, work meetings with, or work parties with my husband, because I couldn't be around it for a long time. It took me, let's see, almost 10 years until I was comfortable being around someone else who was drinking. So it might take you a while before you're comfortable around these foods, turning the other way from them. And that's okay. We have to decide what our limits are, where our boundaries are, and then we have to fight. No one else is going to fight for this life for us, right? Just like no one else is going to get clean and sober. For me, I had to do it. No one else is going to get control of these food addictions if we have them, except for us.
Can I just say something here?
Sure.
You know, starting this back in January and basically spending a year away from friends and family and activities like that has kind of made this fairly easy for me, because I haven't been put in a situation of going to anybody's home and having stuff there. I did go to a reception with my husband 3 weeks ago. And let me tell you, they had a spread put out for a buffet. And I literally sent him to the buffet, and then I went and I sat down, because that was the first time that I had been put in that situation to see all of that I really couldn't have. There was, like, you know, spaghetti, all these pasta salads and different things. And I love pasta. You know, I lived in Italy for 18 months. I love pasta, but, oh, and bread. So, you know, that's been a little bit difficult, but it's like tonight we're going to another reception, but I made it through that reception, and that's going to help me now. But that's going to be my test. You know, my husband's we celebrated his 60th birthday in COVID with nobody. And so a week from tomorrow, or Saturday, is his 61st birthday. So we're actually going to celebrate that one. And one of his favorite things is Hawaiian haystacks. Do you guys know what that is? Oh, so good. So it's rice with lots of different things on top: peppers, onions, chicken, gravy, stuff like that. And I made a dish.
I think it's a Utah thing.
What's
Is
that?
it a Utah?
Oh, it is. It's a huge Utah thing.
Yeah.
So I made a dish for my family using the riced cauliflower. And my daughter said, "Mom, this would be really good to use in haystacks." And it was just like, oh, I can do a family dinner, and I can have both rice for everybody else, and then for those who want to try I can have the riced cauliflower. So I am so excited for this party next week because I am making food that I can have and others can share in it too. So I can modify things so I can stay on plan. But my husband and daughter have been enjoying a lot of these Optavia recipes that I've been trying. And my sister-in-law came down, or my soon-to-be sister-in-law, if my brother would, anyway. And I got one of my box finally came, but they had put stuff in. They put stuff in that I can't have. It has almonds and oats in it that I can't eat. And so I was talking to him, and they let me. I said, well, my sister-in-law's here, and I think she'd like to try some of these. Can I just give them to her, or do you want me to send them back? And they said, oh no, give them to her. So now she got online and she's doing the Optavia lean and greens too, and she's excited about that. So anyway, it's just like you said, you can't be around people with alcohol. It took you a time. I'm learning with food that I have to be so careful, because in Utah with all these LDS people, when we gather, we eat, and everybody's bringing cookies and stuff like that. And now that we're starting to gather again, I'm going to have to be on guard. So this one is really good for me. Bread, pasta, cake. Oh, cake. Oh, this is going to be hard. So this lesson for me, Angie, is huge. And you sharing your story is ticking things in my brain. I may not have been on cocaine or alcohol, but I've got the sugar and the bread, the flour, the cakes, and I salivate sometimes. And I'll go by a donut shop or a bakery, and just that whiff that comes out, it's everything I can do not to go inside. So this is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I think
But you can do it, Deb.
Yeah, you can do it.
Can
I think
ask?
this is for a lot of people because, like we said, food's not illegal, it's readily available. And I think we justify it because we're like, well, it's not cocaine. I mean, I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, if Diet Dr. Pepper is the worst thing I'm addicted to, I'm going to be all right. Well, no, that is an addict thinking. That is an addict's way of thinking, right? What were you saying, Mary?
Deb, will you do us a favor and show us a picture of that and how we can make that stuff too? That sounds pretty good.
The Hawaiian haystack?
Mm-hmm.
You betcha.
Okay.
You bet.
That will be good. Okay. So I wanted to just briefly share a couple of things that I learned in Optavia has podcasts out on different elements in the book, and there's different topics that you can just search, like podcasts or YouTube. I listened to one where the gentleman was talking about this element, but not about just about addiction in general. He was talking about his alcohol addiction, and he made 4 suggestions for anybody who's suffering with any kind of addiction. And I jotted them down because I thought they were so key. So I want to share them with you guys. The first thing is, he says, get into a community, which we're so lucky that we have built in. Dr. A has built in the community for us. When you need to reach out to somebody, you can reach out to a fellow client. You can reach out in the Facebook groups. You can reach out to your coach, to your mentor coaches. I mean, we have a community. So we're lucky that we have a community. The second thing that he mentioned is get ready to do hard work, right? Change isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. It's hard. We're going to fail. We're going to trip and fall. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to relapse, if you will. But we have to just keep working hard. We just have to. The third thing he mentioned was, this one's probably gonna make me cry. He says, your future is not defined by your past. Thank goodness, right? So, forget about how you got to where you are today. Forget about that. Let's just move forward. And do our hard work. Reach out to our community. Your future is not defined by your past. I just love that. And the fourth thing he mentioned was to have the courage to share, which, I feel like I was able to share tonight and be vulnerable with y'all tonight because of the safe community that we're in here and that we've created. And so thank you guys for that. But yeah, he says, have the courage to share. Just like Deb was sharing, you know, her concerns with the Hawaiian haystacks, you know, it's no matter how small or how big the obstacle you're facing is, share it with somebody, share it with a friend, share it here in our group, share it, you know, in the Facebook group, or ask an anonymous question in one of the, you know, chats or something like that. I don't have the courage to share a lot about my struggle with alcohol and illegal drug addiction quite yet. I'm getting there. So honestly, just to have the opportunity to share this and discuss this topic with you guys has been like such a journey for me and like so healing for me. So thank you for giving me this space, this safe space to speak to you guys in. And honestly, even if this doesn't reach or help anybody, like it helped me. And so thank you for letting me grow and be vulnerable and share here tonight. Just in closing, I just wanted to say, people ask me a lot, why do you stay drug and alcohol free? That's probably the most common question I ever get when I tell people that I don't drink. Even like my close friends that I hang out with quite often in our neighborhood, we do a lot of backyard barbecues and stuff. You know, they're like, why can't you just have one? Why can't you just have one drink, you know? And my answer is the same every single time. And it's because I love my current life without those things. I didn't have the life that I had today. I have 5 beautiful children. I have a super healthy relationship with my husband. I have amazing relationships with my sisters now. Like, I didn't have those things and I couldn't have those things, and I'm not willing to give them up. So I think what I'm trying to say here is find your why. Find your why, so that when people ask you, why don't you eat those things? Why can't you have that chocolate cake? Why aren't you eating that big, humongous plate of Hawaiian haystack? Because those can get real big, right? You know, why aren't you eating that? Your answer can be crystal clear. If you get crystal clear on why you're doing this, your answer will be crystal clear every single time. And I'm still working on mine, you know? This is a struggle for me. So, yeah, but that's what I wanted to just share in closing. And thank you guys. Thank you for being here and for allowing me to be vulnerable and to share. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this element. It's an awesome one. Read through it because there's more stuff. You know, we just kind of like picked over it a little bit, but there's more stuff. And I would just encourage you to go through this element with someone else. I think that is a huge thing that helped me when I was first getting clean and sober. I had a sponsor. You know, your coach is your sponsor. Your coach is your sponsor in this, and your coach wants to help you. And if your coach isn't available, because we all have busy lives, call your coach's coach, call your mentor coaches, call one of us. You know, Mary's here, Robin's always here, I'm here, Gail, like whoever you need to reach out to somebody, but work this element with somebody. I think that would be the most beneficial, in my opinion. So thank you. I'm done.
You did excellent, excellent. You were absolutely the one to teach this class, and we thank you for it. You gave me a lot of good ideas, and man, you touched my heart. You did, absolutely touched my heart. So I thank you for doing this, Angie. I just want to say a little something, if it's okay. I think that when we live out loud, we give the other people courage to change things about their life and for them to live out loud too. There's so many people that live behind this mask and behind this wall. And especially now, people are so disconnected, so disconnected. So, you know what? Whenever we have victories, scale or not scale, I wasn't posting a whole lot before because I had someone say, yeah, we know you're on a diet, you know, and I didn't want to like start shoving things down their throat. But you know what, Angie? Your lesson tonight, or what you want to call it, this thing tonight, made me realize that I need to start living more out loud. I really do. So thank you so much. I think it was absolutely outstanding. Okay. So does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? Go ahead, Deb. Unmute yourself.
First off, I want to thank you for inviting me here. But when Angie was talking, I knew I was addicted to carbs. And when she was talking about her addictions and the addictions to food and things, I had shared with you the other day that if somebody stood between me and a fresh loaf of bread, and I was in a car, I would run them over. And, you know, that's how I feel with other carbs and things too, but not as strong. Bread seems to just be the thing that really hits me over the head and knocks me silly. But it really made me think that if I want to live and I want to see my family grow, that I'm going to have to say that is something I can't have.
Right. Yeah.
So I just wanted to thank you, Angie, for sharing your story. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Let me just say something about about bread and gluten in general. Did you know that if you don't have enough good bacteria in your intestines, your stomach can only break down gluten to something that's called glutamorphine, which is a type of morphine. That's why it's so addictive. But if you have the good bacteria in your intestinal tract, it breaks it down to gluten to the point that it's not addictive anymore. So that's what I love about these products with Optavia is they have all different kinds of probiotics in there. And I can honestly say, when my kids make toast, my grandkids make toast in my toaster, because theirs broke, I no longer come out in the morning and go, oh, because I think it's because I'm getting such good nutrition with all my feelings that I no longer crave that because it's not an addiction to me anymore. So that helps. So you might want to do fermented foods or do something that you get those good probiotics in there. It helps a lot. It really does. I know it has nothing to do with this, but I wanted to add that in there.
Yeah, and I'm going to be on these fuelings for the rest of my life. My favorite one is the rosemary buttermilk biscuit one. I do that one in like a panini thing instead of in the oven because it only takes me like 6 minutes to throw it together that way, and I don't have to turn on my oven. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I just eat it plain, with my water, but sometimes I'll put some of the Laughing Cow on top of it. That satisfies me like no other. That gives me that texture of bread. It makes me so happy, and it's just like, that's something that I can have for forever. But yeah, my daughter, when she got married, her dinner was pasta, and I had seconds. And it was, but you know what? When I weighed myself 2 days later, I was up 3 pounds. Mm-hmm. And that was the only thing that I had eaten off diet, except for I didn't have all of my fuelings because of how busy we were. Anyway, it was just a mess. But by not having all of my fuelings and then having 2 helpings of that, I was up 3 pounds in that weekend.
And don't you find that it gets to a point that it's just not worth it anymore?
I have a goal, and that it kind of took away from it, but I was celebrating with my daughter. And so it's like, okay, I'll do this for you, but man, I did it for me too. That's why I went back for the second helping. But that really kind of showed me that I need to really be careful because,
Mm.
you know, that's one of the things too. A fresh loaf of bread, Deb, I'm on the same page. The smell of fresh bread. That's why going by a bakery, whether it's the bread and has the sweets, there is something so home comforting, you know, from growing up with that. My mom baked bread that, you know, we couldn't afford to have Wonder Bread. You know, when I was growing up, my mom would make 5 loaves of bread a week. There's 7 of us kids. And so she literally, that smell is my childhood. And having that fresh bread, it's, so it's something that I'm learning, this changing our minds to help us change our bodies. Everything, this system with you guys is working for me. I love you all. I look forward to Thursday night more than any other night.
Me
My
too.
brothers are already here waiting for me to get off so that we can go to the reception. But it's like, no, I'm not done over here with you guys.
Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same. Okay, anybody else have anything else to say? Okay, next week, Bev is going to lead our class, and it's going to be on how do you become a perpetual motion machine. And if you haven't gotten one yet, there you go. You got the same one I have, Deb.
Oh, the charge 4, whatever.
I don't know, it's cheap. It's cheap. It was the cheapest one I could
It
find.
was the cheapest one I could find on there too.
Yeah, that's why it is. But anyhow, if you don't have a Fitbit and you'd like to join us, Bev's going to do challenges and teach us how to do challenges because it makes it more fun to move. So think about that for next week. And again, Angie, my goodness, seriously, this one, if you don't mind, Angie, do you mind if I post this on my YouTube? No? Okay, I appreciate it because I
You
think it,
can.
thank you, because this could be something that could inspire so many people. So thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Angie.
Well, if there's nothing else, we'll blow this popcorn stand and we'll see you next week. And remember what Angie said, if you need us, if you need me, my phone number is 717-898-2220. If you need me, just give me a call. Email me at marysherbs1 at gmail.com. I'm here for you guys. I've gone through it. I can relate. And you know what? As an added bonus, when somebody calls me up and say, oh, I'm having a hard time doing this, it helps me too.
Mhm.
It does. Okay, so no questions? All right, we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.